Yo, what is up guys, welcome to a new video. Today I'm gonna be talking about how to get a nice mixdown using some plugins. In the previous tutorial I talked about how to get a nice mixdown, but using some techniques and using just your ears, okay? Listening to the track and knowing if everything is right at the volume it should be and all these things. But I asked you if you wanted to know how to use some plugins to know all these things, and a lot of people replied yes, they wanted to know. So here's the tutorial, and I wanted to thank you for the support you're giving me on all these kind of tutorials. And I would like to ask you if you could give another like on this video and subscribe on the channel so you don't miss any kind of tutorials. We could do something. You just give a like, you subscribe, and if you don't like what you see or what I'm doing, just give you the money back. Nothing else, guys. Let's start with the tutorial. So here I have the 3 plugins I'm using in all my tracks when I'm mixing. The first one is Tonal Balance by Ozone. The second one is Span, it's a frequency analyzer, and the third one is SM Exoscope that I use it already on some tutorials. Let's start with the first one. Okay, here I have 2 tracks. They are from Reveal.dj. Thanks to Xwagon and Rune and to Black Code. And what I'm gonna do is use this one as it was the reference track. You know, I always recommend you to put a reference track, at least one, on the project. And the second one, we're gonna think that this is our track, the track that we're mixing. Okay. And about this plugin, what it does is it shows you the balance of the bands of your track. Okay, it's not an EQ, and this is something that you have to have in mind. It is not an EQ. It's not gonna tell you how loud is your bass. You know, it's not gonna tell you the decibels of your bass, of your mids, of your highs. It's just gonna tell you the balance between those bands. Okay, so here we have like some boxes in all the bands. Okay, and what it shows you is like this is the lowest point of the sub bass, and this is the highest point of the sub bass that it should be. What you can do is add the bands or the boxes, you know, of different tracks. You can watch it like this, or you can watch it like this. You know, this is like an analyzer more or less. And now, as I'm working on a big room track, if I click here, you can see Calavera, Paipuya, and Soldier. And what it does is just creates like the boxes of those tracks. You know, they are different from the ones that this plugin has, that is bass heavy, modern, and orchestral. So what we're gonna do is add this one. Okay, you click here, create custom target curve, and we add this one. So it creates these bands. Okay, it means that this track, that the track we have as a reference, the lowest average point of the sub bass is here and the highest is here. I say average because of course in the breakdown maybe there is a part where there is no sub bass, you know, but if it adds the lowest point is 0 probably, so it's not gonna help you. So what we're gonna do is just play our track and see where our track is on each band. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna take out this plugin so it stays here. And as we can see here, maybe we need a bit more bass, but it's okay because it is inside the box. And also with the low mids, the high mids are pretty okay, and the highs are maybe too high if you want a mix like the reference track, you know. But what we can do is just check it with other tracks. For example, let's check it with Calavera, and as we can see, we are okay. We are inside all the boxes. With Papuya, maybe we have too much highs and we need a bit more high mids. And with Soldier, it happens the same. We have too much highs. So if we see that in 3 or 4 tracks we have maybe too much highs, we could reduce a bit. Okay, but the thing is that this is not an EQ, as I told you before. So imagine that we need more bass. It doesn't mean that you need to increase the sub bass, you need to increase the kick or things like that. Okay. What I'm gonna show you is I'm gonna put an EQ and I'm gonna reduce all the highs, okay? And I'm gonna play it now again. And now as you can see, yes, of course we need more highs, but as you can see the lows are a lot louder than before. Why? Because it's not an EQ, it's a balance controller, you know? It tells you the balance of the things. So what it's telling you is that comparing with other bands, you have a lot of bass and you have you don't even have highs, you know. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you is that if, for example, the tonal balance tells you that you need more sub bass, listen first to the track, compare with your reference tracks, and then do what you need to do, okay? Because maybe you have enough bass, but the problem is that your leads are too high, too loud, or you have too much white noises, you know, on the track. So maybe try to reduce all these things and see again what the tonal balance tell you, because maybe it's because of that, because you have too much highs on the track and not because you need more bass. Alright guys, so now this second plugin is a spectrum analyzer. It's just gonna tell you how the frequencies are, you know. If we play this track first, we can see the EQ, okay? And especially I use this plugin to check the lows, to check the volume of the lows, because maybe you think that you have a good decent level of lows or of a kick, you know, but maybe it is too loud or too quiet. So what I do with this plugin is I play on the drop and I check here how loud is the curve on the lows. And at this point you can see the hertz, you know, and here you can see the decibels. Okay, so at 67 hertz is more or less a minus 29, minus 30 dBs. So we're gonna check with our track. Our track, more or less at the same hertz, is like minus 32 dB. So maybe if you want to sound like your reference track, try to increase a bit the lows. You know, this is not like tonal balance. So if you need more lows, it's because you need more lows, not because you need to decrease on the highs. But you can do it with all the bands. You know, let's compare the highs. At 10 kilohertz is more or less a minus 29 dBs, you know, because it has some peaks. And let's compare with ours. As you can see, it's a bit louder, it has more peaks. So maybe if you want to sound like your reference track, try to reduce a bit on the highs and try to increase the lows a bit, maybe the kick especially. And then compare again with the tonal balance. So because maybe you overdo this thing and then the balance is not right. So try to use both plugins at the same time. And finally, I use this plugin to check especially also the lows. Okay, what this plugin does is it shows you the waveform in real time of your track. Okay, now the thing is that this track is mastered, but imagine that your track is not mastered. You're gonna have like peaks and lows, you know, it's gonna do like things like that. And what you wanna see is if something is too loud. Okay, imagine this is the kick, the start of the kick. Imagine that you have, this is not mastered, and you have your kick here, and then this part of here that especially are the synth, the leads and the bass and all these things, are like here at this point. So probably it's too loud, you know, even if you master it. So try to reduce that, checking with this plugin. But especially what I do is I put a filter on the master channel, okay, more or less at 100 hertz or thing like that, to listen the lows. Hope you can listen this on the video. We can see that the kick is hitting at this point and the sub bass is more or less here. Let's check our track, how it is. As you can see, it's a bit lower, the hit of the kick, and we could see that also on span, you know. So try to increase a bit the attack of the kick, or especially the kick in general, and you will have also more lows. And at the span analyzer is going to look better. And if we check the sub bass, we could say it's more or less here. Let's check with our track. It's more or less at the same point, so it's kind of good. Alright guys, so these are the three plugins I use the most when I'm working on a track. I put them on the master and I try to compare my track with my reference track. I normally have more or less 3-4 reference tracks that sound more or less similar to my track, and that tracks that I want to sound like, and they are pretty useful. So if you try to use the techniques I showed you in the previous video and you combine them with these plugins, and if you try to also use the trick I told you in a pretty old video that we'll put a link up here, that is using reference stems, you know, and using the magic key and all these things. If you combine all these things, you're gonna have a lot better mixdown, you know. If you don't try to go so fast, you're gonna have a good mixdown and a nice quality track. So nothing else, guys. As always, if you have any questions, leave it on the comments. I try to reply all the comments, and if you have any suggestions about kind of tutorials, also leave it in the comments. So guys, see you in the next video.